Morning, guys. Lexiot's Raptor Freak. 8 o'clock Monday morning, right after a game against Golden State last night where we lost by 15 points to Golden State in Golden State. It was a tough game, very tough game. Very interesting team Golden State has right now and what they're doing and the way that they're winning games right now. They're winning games by a lot of points these days. So we shouldn't feel too super horrible about the game last night because they did the same thing to teams like Brooklyn and Chicago already this season too. And in fact, they beat those teams worse than they beat us. Like a 15-point loss is pretty bad, but think about it when you think that they beat Brooklyn by 19 or they beat Chicago by over 20 points. So, and they even beat the New Orleans Pelicans by 42 points in a game this season. So they're nasty, they're dangerous, and these guys don't miss. We did a really good job on Steph Curry last night. He only got 12 points, and that's a huge accomplishment. But those other guys, his understudy, Jordan Poole, right now is nasty. And you can tell that these guys, they play at a higher level partly because they're playing on the same team as Steph. They come out there with a certain swagger and arrogance and confidence in their shot just because they play with Steph. And Jordan Poole is his understudy right now. And he really is deadly right now and trying to score like crazy. So between him and Andrew Wiggins last night, who Wiggins is actually a real on the down low, a Raptor killer. For years, he's been destroying our team offensively in different ways, whether it was on Minnesota before Golden State even. So he's had some of his best performances against Toronto. And, it bugs me because he's from here. And I guess he has motivation to beat us. There's certain Toronto guys that are like this. And Andrew Wiggins is one of them. Tristan Thompson's another one. Kelly Olynyk is another one. These are guys that just want to kill us whenever they play us, even though they're from Toronto. I mean, I get it. It makes sense. But, yeah, it's tough. It's tough to see, especially since Fred really did do a good job on Steph last night. They didn't let him get going or anything like that, but we definitely let the other guys get going too much. And problems with our offense are interesting because we really don't have that. This is the thing. We've seen some really top level teams on this Western Conference road trip. We've seen Utah, we've seen Portland, we've seen Golden State now. And these teams have years and years of built synergy between each other. Like these are guys that have been playing together for years, Steph and Draymond, and they really know second nature. And this is one of the things that I have to keep reminding myself about where the Raptors are with things. Sure, Pascal and Fred and OG have been playing together for a couple of years, but for the most part, a lot of our core is very new to each other. And there really isn't that much second nature kind of synergy and chemistry that just is really easy for the Raptors. It's really, really they got to figure out how to pass out the double team and know where these guys are just going to be at and stuff like that better. And they just need to know each other's tendencies better and stuff like that. But it's tough. But there was a lot to look at that points to good things happening for us, and that we didn't hang with them. They got a good cushion and they kept it the whole game. We'd get as close as maybe 9 or something points close to them, and then they would just come back and put a little run on and pour it back up to 18 points again. It was frustrating, but that's smart coaching. That's them respecting us as an offensive explosion that could happen at any time and get us back in the game. So that was really smart of Steve Kerr and the coaches on the Golden State Warriors to not allow us get that close, because we are capable of coming back really quick and really fast all of a sudden if we get hot and we get some turnovers in transition. But it's a tough game. In some ways, I'm sad about it because we don't look like we're in the class with them in that level of the NBA. And then in some ways also, I'm kind of feel like there's some promise, just because seriously, this team Golden State has been dismantling everybody like this. But the theory of the way they're doing it is not totally sound to me. And the main reason why is because they're relying so much on their three-point shot right now. At some point, these shots aren't going to go in for them at some point. It's going to hurt them. You rely on your outside shot too much. If it's not there one day in some ways, they may say, well, we have so many different guys. At least somebody's going to be hitting them and stuff like that. Yeah, but I think they're going to get burned for this at some point. That in some ways that they've started the season really hot shooting and like have things to prove, and that they may cool off as the season goes on, and they may have to rely on other aspects of their offense to carry them at times, because they really do rely on the three a lot. And if we just played, like Nick Nurse was saying after the game last night, we just played the rotations a little bit more correctly. Like sometimes we needed to stay at home with the guy we were already guarding, and sometimes we over rotated still in certain ways. And this was how they were getting open at times too. But there were things to look at in this game that were positive. Like one of the things they talked about after the game was how Scotty started really slow and had a really hard time getting into the game, getting any offense. And then he fought through it. And in the second half, he hit a couple threes. He did get some points in there, but all along he's actually passing the ball really well last night and getting the ball around to different people. And, there were different other little bright spots here and there for the Raptors. Pascal was able to get some offense going at different times. And, it's the Warriors. The Warriors are the cream of the crop right now. And they're the top dog in the teams of the NBA right now. And it's just the reality of it. One of the things I want to look at, though, with the Raptors and the Warriors is we're going to play them again in Toronto December 18th. So I'd like to see if we have a lot of team improvement by the time we get to play them here, because that'll be a benchmark. We can see kind of where we were last night compared to when we get them here in Toronto on the 18th of December. So it's a tough loss, but like this is one that honestly we expected. And, we really need to win these last two on the road trip to be 500 to get back home, because then we'll be 10-10. Because right now we're 8-10. I hate it. It sucks. Well, what can you do? It's just how it is. The Golden State Warriors are a good team, and their secondary guys killed us. So it's, what can we do? It's Golden State. They did this to everybody so far this year. There's like the couple teams that have beat them have been kind of had some luck involved in it also. Because like I said at the beginning, they did this to Brooklyn. They did this to Chicago. Exactly this. Like they beat Chicago worse than us. So our margin of defeat compared to other margins of defeat against the Warriors is not bad. 15 points is not that bad. They've been hanging 20-point wins on people and stuff like that. There's been some close ones, but some really good teams have gone down by double digits to them already this year. So let's see. Click 2 a.m. Good morning, man. Glad to have you here. You're one of the brave to be here with me this morning, but it's okay. I'm glad. The Warriors are championship contenders and we aren't. Yeah, right at this stage of our franchise, we are not a championship contender, and they are. But I think they have a lot of flaws also. I know that their defense is better than people say it is. It's underrated and stuff, but I still see so many flaws with their team. If they have to rely on the three-point shot so much, they may be in trouble, like especially in the playoffs. Because, it's going to be harder and more grittier and stuff like that. So I don't know if they're a legitimate championship contender, like at the top. Like they may have a really good regular season, but let's see how they do in the playoffs. I mean, really, they don't always have good playoffs with that kind of team constructed around Steph. They don't get real far. I know I'm saying that and they had a dynasty, but, it's still, to me, there's some flaws in their theory of how they're playing right now. Like that's what I saw partly is that, man, they're relying way too much on the three-point shot. And teams that rely on the three-point shot too much get burned eventually. And that's the way I really look at it. The next two games are definitely must wins. Click 2 a.m. And I think that we have a chance. Like Memphis is up and down. They're a 500 team. And, then we got to play Indiana again. And we beat Indiana twice already. So we need to continue that streak with them too. But, we got a couple days off this week, today and tomorrow. So tomorrow I'll be doing trivia, guys, again at 9:30 a.m. Eastern sharp. The third trivia game of the season. And so come and get some points. Play some trivia with the old Raptor Freak. And it'll be an interesting category. It'll have something to do, I think, with the Grizzlies. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. But yeah, let's see what else you guys are saying. Yeah, I just woke up too, Click. I wanted to get this out of the way. It's like just do this live stream and get it out of the way and go on with my day is kind of what I wanted to do. Gee, good morning, man. I can see Golden State Warriors in Utah in the finals for the West. Suns are great too. Utah is a tough matchup for them. I think that Utah's a more complete team than the Warriors in a lot of ways. The Warriors, I'm not buying into them. I really am not. Like, even when Clay comes back, and we'll see all that, that just means that they get more of what they already have. So, and maybe what they have is really good, but honestly, I still don't think that they're. I mean, I know that they played good defense yesterday, but to me, like that's not really their identity. Is not defense. So it's like on the down low, they're a good defensive team. I don't know. I shouldn't talk too any crap or anything about them. I need to just respect them today because the way that they shot last night was super impressive. Their percentages from three and stuff like that, and the way that Steph kind of handled the game as a playmaker and like a facilitator instead of having to score was very interesting too. But he does that like against us. He lets Fred kind of tie him up and then he picks us apart by helping other guys pick us apart. That's kind of been the thing that Steph does to the Raptors. I don't know what it is exactly. It's like he has some affinity for our team, that's for sure, because of the guys like up on the wall that when his dad played with Muggsy and JYD and Alvin there. I tell this story like I'll have my little Raptor freak history story right now. When I worked at the Air Canada Center from 1999 to 2004, I would come to work early and set up my sub stand as early as possible because I'd like to go sit in the arena and watch the players warm up like hours before the game. This would be like 2 or 3 hours before the game. And nobody's in the arena. I'd be the only one in there, like an employee, just sitting, kind of hanging out in the stands. And there, Dell was playing for us, and they were here. Steph and Seth, they were in school, and they were little kids. And I was the guy who wrote about that story a while back about seeing them as kids bombing threes, NBA threes. They looked like they were 8 or 9 years old. They were so tiny, the Curry brothers, and they're just bombing threes. This is in like 2000, 2001. And I'm looking at these kids and I'm like, that kid can already hit an NBA three. And he's like this tall. He's not tall at all. It's like, it shouldn't even be, his muscles shouldn't be able to make the ball go that direction or that. And they were bombing all of them, him and Seth. So I saw this kid, Steph, when he was a little kid, like 20 years ago, killing the court in Toronto right away. Like, that was my story that I put out. I was saying, yeah, I saw Steph and Seth when they were little kids killing it, because that's who they are. He was destined. He was a prodigy. He's like the Venus and Serena Williams, the sisters. He was taught at a very early age to become who he is today. And it's amazing. It's amazing who Steph Curry is now. But he does have a really special tie to our city. And, I know he gets up when he wants to play against us. He comes and plays against us. But, he knows also that Fred's a competitor and Fred's going to do everything he can to try and stop him. So just don't even try too hard against him and put all that energy into your teammates is what Steph's doing, I guess. So, man, but Golden State's good. But honestly, I think that Utah's a more complete team in a lot of ways just because of Gobert. So it's going to be very interesting in the West to see what happens. So let's keep going here. I'll see what else you guys are saying. Jamal, the former 905 coach, is there helping their D. Yeah. Jama, it's too bad that he's on their staff. Like, when I saw him on their bench last night, I was like, turncoat. And it's like, oh, he's telling Steve Kerr all of our shit. And I'm like, I don't like this. I don't like this. That he kind of went to the other team and he's doing that. It sucks, man, because I always think that when our coaches or people leave and go somewhere else, that like players or something like that, like Bembry with the Nets, that they're giving all our plays and stuff like that to the other team or talking about how we do things and stuff like that. I hate that. It's like proprietary knowledge, and you don't tell the Colonel's secret recipe to everybody else. If you just because you left KFC and you went to work for Popeyes, do you do that? I don't know, but yeah, I didn't like seeing Jama on their bench, and that I know that he's telling Steve Kerr all our goodies and things like that. I don't like that. Kenrick, good morning, man. Glad to see you. We beat nearly the same team by 50 last year, so we can be better. Yeah, I mean, we have had success against the Warriors at different times. And like I said, they live and die by their three. I don't see this being very feasible for the whole season. They're gonna hit a rough patch where they're gonna not be able to shoot at some point, and they're gonna lose games because of that or something. I don't know. It's just so weird how they won last night, or just how they play. Is very weird to me, and there's smoke and mirrors involved in this to a degree, and I think that a lot of it has to do with Steph Curry and how he operates. So let's see. Golden State Warriors didn't make the playoffs for 2 seasons. They added some youth, and this is what chemistry does. They still have that framework of chemistry from their dynasty years, as long as they have Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and Klay Thompson. And that's the thing that kind of carries over, because these guys are so prominent in that whole process. I mean, sure, KD's gone and stuff like that, but Wiggins looked really, really good last night. He looked like KD in some ways, as far as like his ability to just score at will. And he really does. He kills us. He's a Raptor killer, Andrew Wiggins. He's from Toronto and he loves beating his hometown. So we had that Canadian connection, these guys, Steph Curry and Andrew Wiggins, and they wanted to kill us, and they did. And it's just how it is. So anyway, I'm not going to go too long today, guys. I just want to do a real quick check-in reaction. Like I said, they did the same thing to Brooklyn. They did the same thing to Chicago. They beat the mess out of them too. They beat them worse by more points. So at least we hung with them a little better. And we probably handled Steph better than any other team so far this year in a lot of ways. So we got to pick our little wins from things like this last night. One other thing I want to just talk about real quick is this LeBron James incident last night with Isaiah Stewart. I hope that LeBron gets really in trouble for this, because he should. And if he doesn't, it's going to show that they really are biased for him in some ways. Like, he did a really cheap shot last night, and he really hurt that guy. He hurt that guy bad, and it didn't look good. And, I don't blame Stewart for going crazy and wanting to go after him and stuff like that, because that was so dirty and malicious and very damaging what LeBron did to him. He couldn't give him brain damage hitting him that hard, something like that. So I really hope that the NBA doesn't poo-poo things with this. It doesn't give LeBron a pass like they have in the past with different things like this, because they didn't want to take him out of the playoffs, so they didn't suspend him for something like that had to do with COVID stuff last year. They've given him a lot of different kind of like benefits and like overlooked a lot of different things for LeBron. But this one last night is just so right there and evident and wrong. And if they don't come down on him somehow, some way, I'm going to be like, yeah, this is a favoritism league. And that this league is like, he's a golden boy, and he gets away with this kind of stuff partly because of that. So it was really an ugly thing that he did. And it's bad for the game. So NBA, you got to do something about LeBron, and you better figure out the right move on this, because yeah, people are saying that he didn't mean to. He's trying to elbow him and it turned into a punch. No, he totally meant to do that. He took a cheap shot on him. And it may have been partly because of frustration, because the guy was probably really bugging him. Like, he was probably playing really good defense on him the whole game and just really irritating him. So he decided to take a cheap shot. And it was right after a free throw. And like, it wasn't even necessary in any kind of way. So LeBron needs to be punished for this, and we'll see if he does get punished for this. He needs a suspension is what he needs. And if he doesn't get suspended for some games, it's the NBA just on the down low protecting their cash cow. So it's ugly. I don't like these kind of incidents. And the fact that this happened in Detroit, where there's a whole bunch of people just like getting out on the court, and all the coaching staff and the referees have to try and separate people, and they want to swing punches and stuff like that. We don't need to go in that direction in Detroit, because there's history there with that. That's really ugly. And that's what this smacked of, was some kind of crap like that. At least the fans weren't involved or anything like that, because the Malice in the Palaces was an awful thing that happened in the history of the NBA. And, that's an arena that's seen some violence. So we don't need, LeBron taking cheap shots on people like that. That's, yeah. And he did that on purpose. He does that to people. I've seen him do the inadvertent elbows or anything like that. He's done that kind of shit that intentionally, but tried to make it look like he didn't mean to do it. And that's part of his bag of tricks of dirtiness. And part of the reason why I don't respect him in some ways is because he is dirty in that way. He'll take a cheap shot on a person here and there, and he gets away with it a lot of times just because of who he is. And I don't respect that. Yeah, it was definitely out of frustration. They're very frustrated, the Lakers. And the weird thing about that was that after that, the Lakers came back and won the game. They were losing the game before that. And that's too bad for Detroit because, in a way, they deserved to win that game last night. And they didn't. So it's too bad. It could be, the refs helped Lakers too a little bit at the end too. But I don't know. I didn't see the game. But anyway, guys, tomorrow trivia was because it's an off day. There's no game. There's no preview, no reaction. So I'll do my third game of trivia. You guys can come in and get some points. Try and knock off the leader. I believe the leader is, who is it again? Who's leading in the trivia? It's G. G, you're the leader in trivia. Come and defend your title. And, I'll be here at 9:30 Eastern sharp. That's exactly when I'll be here. I'll do a little bit of a talk about different things. And then I'll probably start the game pretty quick, like 10, 15 minutes into that 9:30. So if you're here by 9:45, you should get to play trivia. But try and get here for 9:30 for sure. If you guys are definitely interested in playing Family Feud, Raptors, Freak Trivia. All right, I just want to get this one done. I got up. I'm like, just make the reaction live stream, get it over and done with, and go about your day. So I hope everybody has a good Monday, a good start to their week, and go Raptors, man. We're still badasses. Like, honestly, there were some good things about last night. Like Scotty pulling out of like his funk a little bit in the second half was good, and there's Delano played really well at times last night. I was really impressed with him. Playing at that high level with the Warriors. And, there were little things to point at that were pretty good. Nick Nurse wasn't upset with the team last night. He was happy with the effort and what he saw. Pay. If you make a little bit of a mistake, they make you pay. Well, it says I'm unstable. Well, I'm just going to go out. They make you pay. If you make the littlest mistake, they definitely make you pay, Golden State. So let's see where we're at in December 18th when the Warriors come to Toronto. And maybe we've had some progress with different things. We look different as a team, and maybe we beat them this next time we play them. I would love that. All right, go Raptors. Let's go Raptors!